This is a much stronger storm, but it's a quicker moving storm. So at least that's one element of good news with a storm of this magnitude. In fact, once this makes landfall sometime into the early afternoon hours of Wednesday as a Category 4, this will be the first Category 4 to do so on the mainland of the United States in the month of October since Hurricane Hazel did back in 1954. So that alone tells you the rarity of such a storm this late into the season, and only 0.09% of all hurricanes that have ever impacted the U.S. have done so as a Category 4, less than 1%. Think about that again and talk about this particular storm. And going from a Category 3 in the past couple of hours to a Category 4, it's an exponential increase in the amount of damage that's left in place. A lot of people think with categories, much like with earthquakes, once you go from one scale to another, it's only a one-fold increase. Not so the case. It's about a 5 times increase in the damage expectation on the coastal communities there where it makes landfall somewhere just east of Panama City, again into the early afternoon hours. And already seeing the outer bands of Michael push ashore right now. Some strong thunderstorms reported around Panama City. We'll begin to see some of those tropical storm force winds with this as well as we approach sunrise. And then, of course, going in from 9, eventually to noon, eventually to 3 p.m. Then we talk about hurricane force winds and then Category 4 force winds that are coming to shore with 130 miles per hour sustained, gusts as much as 155 miles per hour. Of course, in a place like Panama City, when you're talking about elevated buildings, a lot of people think, well, they can elevate and go up vertically and get away from the damage down on the coast. Not so the case. Once you go up about 20 or 30 stories, you're increasing the wind speed by about 20%. At a higher altitude, of course, there's less friction, and the winds tend to be stronger above some of those high-rise buildings around Panama City. But there we go again. Storm moves ashore very quickly, pushes through southern Georgia into the afternoon hours of Wednesday and evening hours of Wednesday, and then into the overnight hours of Wednesday to Thursday morning into the Carolinas. That's the next concern, of course. We get heavy rainfall there on top of finally receding rivers across that region. That's bad news all the way around for folks across the Carolinas. But look at this storm surge. You know, we don't talk about hurricanes of this magnitude in this region of Florida very often. This would be only the 4th Category 3 or stronger storm to make landfall across the Florida Panhandle in recorded history, and none have come in as a Category 4 until Michael does so in the next few hours. But notice that storm surge, as much as 13 feet high, and once you get up to a couple of feet, not only does the water kind of begin to get up above, of course, normal sea level, once you get to, say, 2, 3, 4 feet, begin pushing that up, really encroaching towards some of those homes. And then once you get up towards 12 plus feet, which is where we're expecting with this particular storm, you're essentially submerging the first level of some of these homes and pushing water into the second story, if there are any second stories to be had on some of these communities there. And of course, the storm surge tends to carry several blocks inland. So it's not just right on the coast, it's also inland. And lastly, George, the power outage concern is going to be really significant and widespread from Panama City just to the east, mainly into Tallahassee, where plenty of oak trees across this region. We expect a lot of that to come down with the winds that we're expecting in this forecast later on today.